This podcast is sponsored by Highclere Castle Gin, born from a castle, renowned for its parties and acclaimed for its taste. Highclere Castle Gin is the winner of over 200 international spirit awards with a triumphant 100-point score. Pick up a bottle for yourself at highclarecastlegin.com.
Welcome back to the SpoilerTV podcast, where we break down everything happening in the world of television last week. Thank you so much to everyone who voted in the poll this week, have a say in the shows that we discuss. So we're wanting to make things as interactive as possible, and we're super excited to announce that next week's episode will be live on our YouTube channel. We're going to be responding to comments and questions as they come in, and we'll have some giveaways as well. So be sure to watch for details on our social media pages this week at SpoilerTV Pod on Twitter and at the SpoilerTV Podcast on IG. All the details about the live episode will be up for you. And for this week's episode, I'm back with my co-hosts, Susanna and Jessica. How are you doing today? Anything exciting in the world of TV for you?
Just catching up on the Penguin, so that was pretty good.
I was away last week, unfortunately, so I
Yes.
missed the interview, but I've been catching up on all my TV that I missed while I was away and then also watching new shows. So I'm excited to discuss.
That's awesome. Well, let's dive into it. So it's no surprise that Fire Country received the most votes in the poll this week. The season just started and it's already super good. And so the episode this week actually kicked off with Bodhi's first day as a cadet at the Edgewood Rescue Crew. But unfortunately, last week there was a little incident with him and Gabriella making a bad choice. And right from the start in this episode, Jake finds Gil's necklace in Bodhi's locker. And so, of course, him and Gabriella, right from the start, are caught in that huge mess. The good thing is they didn't try to lie to Jake, but Jake is furious because he's trying to be a real chill leader, but they're not making it easy for him. And Bodhi's trying to get his second shot. And this is the last thing that he needs to be doing. So,
Yeah, and when Jake was going off on Bodhi, I was like, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, what is he gonna do? And then he ended up, saying, why are you going through my locker and all that stuff? And Jake shut him down right away,
Yep.
which I was like, okay, well, he's the leader, like he's gonna have to put his foot down sometimes. But just reminding him that it's Cal Fire's locker, it's not his locker.
That's right.
But I was surprised that he did actually bench Gabriella and Bodhi being on thin ice. I feel like he could have benched him, but he decided not to.
That's right.
And so he was as lenient as he can be, because also if he was just going to be like, oh, it's okay, next time don't do it, then these things are going to constantly keep happening.
Yep.
So not a great start for Bodhi and his training.
It was not. And then the drill den. So this is a high stakes exercise where the cadets have to rescue a dummy that's hidden from a fire. And if they fail, they get a strike, and 3 strikes and they're out, right? So lots on the line. And Bodhi's paired with Audrey, who we actually learned a little bit more about this episode. We find out that she's got a really complicated history with drugs. And she's also had a lot of failed attempts in the program. So this is her moment, and she's desperate not to mess up again.
Yeah,
So,
and she obviously doesn't want to get a strike because
No.
she wants to like get perfect in this, and I understand, and she's counting on Bodhi to help her not get that strike since they're together. But he did use one of the tips that he had got from his grandpa, which I found interesting and exciting, something out of the box kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's how they ended up saving the dummy. So they didn't get the strike, thankfully.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I think it was so Audrey, she convinces Jake to take part of the blame for what happened because Jake saw through it. He didn't feel like Bodhi didn't call out the move. He kicked him out for not playing the rules. And now they're both down to 2 strikes. So they all actually did end up getting the strike. So they're both out. It was a bonding moment for the 2 of them, but things are not looking so great for Bodhi. So then there's Gabriella and Bodhi finally confessing to Gil about the necklace. And Gil's relieved they told him, and he's happy to be alive. And, he's glad to take a desk job. That way he gets to spend more time with his daughter. But Gabriella is hit hard by the reality check that Jake gave her. And she finally realizes that her relationship with Bodhi might be a problem. And she ends up calling it off. She says they need to be better about making smart choices before they get into anything serious. That was huge.
That is huge. And I totally get that. At some point, she was going to have to, I feel like not really pick, but, pick either her job or her relationship. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I was happy that she took a step back and did something for herself. And I just feel like when she is with him, she does like the most risky things.
She does.
And so I feel like that for me was the reason that I was happy for her.
Yep.
But obviously Bodhi is heartbroken and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she made the right decision.
She did. And so while all this is going down, her dad's actually back too. He's in Three Rocks, so that's for the inmates, and he's dealing with his first day. And of course, the crew gives him a hero's welcome, and Eve's there supporting him. She also confronts him about not putting Gabriella on his visitor list at the prison, which he didn't do. And she's worried about Manny shutting her out. And it's actually one of those really awesome, heartfelt moments that show why Eve is so important to Manny and why Manny needs Eve. That was a really, really pivotal moment, I feel, for his
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, Eve's push really hit home for Manny, I think. It's clear how much he really values her friendship and her honesty. And meanwhile, Vince and Sharon are off on a whole new adventure of their
Hmm.
own. Sharon did buy Smokey's Bar, and
Yeah.
Vince, who's still figuring out his role, is all in on this project. I'm really excited for them. And if we get some live music or even some Vince guitar lessons, it could bring a whole new vibe to the show. So I'm just excited to see where they go with that.
Yeah, I'm really glad they put that in this season. I think it's great. And like Vince, like you're right, he's trying to figure things out. This is the perfect thing for him. So good on Sharon to take that plunge.
Mhm.
Um Overall, the episode was packed with drama, awesome characters, arc development, and it actually set up a lot for the season. So now we can kind of see where things are headed. And I really know that the Bodhi and Gabriella shippers are disappointed. And I get that. But I have to say, this was absolutely the right call for the writers to make because it, it wouldn't have made sense for Gabriella to just, this relationship to just take off. And first of all, it's never that easy for couples on TV. But
Mhm.
Gabriella makes bad decisions around Bodhi. She needs to take a step back and better herself. He's also working on bettering himself. And then hopefully that growth will end up leading them back together. So, um, people should just, it might take a while, but this is a good thing. And I think it's also fun to see that push and pull too, right? Like that longing
For sure. And if they would
each
have
other.
she just ended
Yes.
her
Yeah.
her thing. So to think that
Yes.
she's going to automatically just go right back into something as big as that and a relationship like that, I think that's a little much for people
Yeah.
to expect. Like you have to, there's going to be some push and pull, I think, for the next little while, but I think in the end they will end up together, or at least I hope.
I think so. I mean, there's always a way. I mean, I know that's where the show is headed, but like I said, no one's going to ever make it easy. And at the same time, there has to be some good character development in that too, right? So I
For
think it
sure.
was a good move. People might not agree with me, but I don't know. We'll see where next week lead us. But another leader in the polls this week was FBI International. Not surprising. Lots of buzz on social media. We get a lot of hits for FBI International on our site. And of course, a lot of it has to do with Jesse Lee Soffer joining the cast. So let's break it down, Jess. What do you think?
I've been wanting to watch the show, but trying to find the time. I haven't been able to, but I just binged the 3 episodes. And again, I watch shows because of characters I've seen in other shows. So I was so excited that Jesse was in this show. And I'm glad I started watching it. It was
Yeah,
really good. I'll talk about the last episode that people just watched,
sure.
which was filmed in Portugal, or I hope it was filmed in Portugal. It
Yes,
was
it
in Portugal.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know if, yeah. I don't know about
yeah.
the filming, but it was definitely set.
Yeah. So that was really exciting because the three of us are Portuguese. So it was a little nod to our home country. But so this week it was I guess this family, mom and daughter with her two friends were going to Portugal for her daughter's 18th birthday.
Right.
And her friends and her decided to go out and told the mom they were going for dinner somewhere. And it ended up turning out that they were going to a party.
Mm.
And when they told the mom that they were going for dinner, she was with this Portuguese man that she had met there, and they were having some drinks. And, I figured the episode was going to take us back to that moment, and it
Mm.
did in the end. But they go out to this party, and she goes off with this man that she met, and she disappears. Her
Ooh.
friend's looking for her, only finds her bag. So yeah, that's how the story starts. So he gets a call while he's getting his tattoo and says, "Oh, sorry, gotta go, gotta rush to Portugal." So yeah, he I can't. I'm a sap for him. I love him. He is just such a good actor. I love him. I love how he came onto the show. He is not like your ordinary FBI agent, I would say. He's very unconventional, and I think that's what is going to draw people to keep watching this show, is because he's not like the rest of them.
Totally.
And so that was really exciting, and I was loving all the like plot twists and the twists and turns it was taking us on. And I know that like all these agents are really like there for one reason, to like figure out the story, but I really feel like deep down in his heart, like it is so important to him. And so, yeah, I was loving watching that. Um, who else? I'm so terrible with names, guys. I guess I can't remember the names, but the team of them, they're
Yeah,
trying to balance him because he is new, right?
that's
He
right.
came from something else, and they pull him into this team. And so it's been interesting trying to see how they all like kind of play together. One of the girls he had known from prior trainings and stuff. And so it's interesting to see how they play out. And I honestly think we may see a relationship happening there. Just the vibes I'm getting. I'm excited to see what happens there.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I feel like they do have a little bit of tension, but the way that the episode ended, it was like they were going on good terms.
Yeah,
So I'm
totally.
excited to see how that turns out. And then is it Officer Smitty?
Yes.
With Officer Smitty, her skills that she was using when she was liaising with the Portuguese authorities, she was so good. Like she did such a good job. It's definitely her specialty. And I feel like she really shined in that moment. And again, don't know her as an actress. I've never seen her, but really, really enjoying her.
That's awesome.
And is it, oh my gosh, Rains? Rains.
Yeah,
Officer Rains?
you
Yeah.
got it.
And he's doing his own thing. He's tracking the suspicious money flows, which, as always, in every single episode it looks has been proving crucial. So they're really showing all of how the characters kind of are benefiting each other in the bigger picture. So that was really exciting to watch. Again, I love when teams fit together so perfectly, just like I feel like Chicago PD has done. I feel like they really have done that in this show as well. I'm excited to keep watching. Now this is on my list because I love Jesse. So add another show to the roster, but I'm really excited to see where everything goes. I think the way that this episode ended was great. I think how they found everything out and really put all of their specialties to the test and came together to figure out what actually happened to the girl. I think it was great. Their interrogation was great. Yeah, I can't wait to keep watching.
Yeah. I mean,
Sounds
all of the
awesome.
FBIs are super popular, but I think
Mhm.
this one's tipping the scales a little bit just because of his addition to the show. And
Yeah.
it's nice to see that he's clicking with all the characters that have been there already for 3 seasons, right?
Right. And I was going to say, like, this is his first season, right?
Yeah.
Because I was a little confused with the way that they started the first episode. Like, he was in this relationship and his girlfriend was yelling at him because she was texting somebody, or he was texting somebody, which was his dental hygienist. And I was like, is this backstory from last season or is this really his first season? Like, I was a little bit confused at first, but yeah, I think it ended up turning out great. And I think
That's
that,
awesome.
yeah, because of him, a lot more people are going to come to this. He was
Yeah. And I think
very,
that's
very
probably
missed
why.
when he left Chicago PD. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I'm glad he landed somewhere.
mhm.
I mean, it's the thing with Tracy Spiridakos, right? Like she's not doing anything right now, and I know people are missing her.
Mhm.
So hopefully we
She'll
hear,
show up somewhere.
oh, totally. Hopefully we hear something soon for her. But
Yes, I hope so.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, FBI International, definitely good,
Yes, a
hot, a
hit.
hit. And we're gonna move on to another leader in the polls. We had a new show pop up this week, which was The Penguin on HBO. And actually, I'm actually kind of surprised that it didn't receive more votes sooner. It has
Me too.
received amazing reviews. Colin Farrell, he's unrecognizable in this role. And yeah, every time I've like I haven't actually tuned in. Susanna's our resident expert on that, but yeah, it looks good. What do you think, Susanna?
Yeah, like Colin Farrell's amazing in this role. I mean, he was good in the movie The Batman, but he's really taken on a new lease
Oh,
on the
I
Penguin. And
forgot he was in that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
they based the character off of him in
Okay.
the movie, and he's really taken a new lease on the Penguin's character. Like he's
Awesome.
really showcasing his awkwardness, his villainy, his survival in the crime syndicate. And he's also been said that like as he's been playing this role, he really feels that the Penguin is really this heartbroken man inside his facade because he doesn't act like it, but he's had so much turbulence and trauma in his life, so you know that that's part of the reason why he is the way he is. So we did say the show was a spin off of the his character from the Batman movie, called The Batman in from 2022 with Robert Pattinson.
Was he
It
the
showed it.
penguin in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, he
okay.
was. So in the movie, he was Oswald Cobblepot, which is what Penguin's name is. But in the series, they sh shortened his name to Oswald Oz Cobb.
Okay.
They felt like it resonated more with today's society instead of Cobblepot. So they've shortened his name. But it focuses on the rise of the Penguin
Mm,
after his boss, Carmine Falcone. He was the head of the Falcone crime family,
right.
got assassinated by the Riddler in the movie. It takes a place a week after the destruction on Gotham with the explosion of the seawall and the big flood, and a ton of people died, as well as the assassination of Carmine. And now it's focusing on the Penguin using that to move up the ranks of the criminal underworld from being once Falcone's kid's driver,
Mm,
um, to now trying to be the head of his own crime syndicate, or he wanted to really be the head of the Falcone syndicate, which didn't
right.
work out. But there's lots of twists, lots of turns, alliances, and backstabbing. He makes a lot of enemies along the way, but I will tell you, every episode has my jaw dropped, and it's like, wow, I didn't think it could get any worse, or like I didn't think he was going to be able to get out of this. But
Yeah.
the last episode, we see that one of the other crime families, Sal Maroni, he was in jail. He has escaped from prison after assassination attempt that was planned by the Penguin.
Mm,
And Sophia, who is Carmine Maroni's daughter, has rebranded the family to her mother's name of Gigante. And I'm not going to give away too many spoilers just in case no one's watched it yet, but you'll see where she comes from and how she rose to this occasion. And let me tell you, I see why she did what she did, but it was very shocking to know she did it.
yeah.
If it's the fall, this episode is pretty much the fallout of that. So her and Maroney form an alliance because they hate the Penguin. He's backstabbed them. He's killed some of their relatives. Um, he's manipulative with both of
Mm,
them to get his own way. And of course, now Oz is panicked because Maroney's now out of prison, and he thought him being in prison would keep him from, you know, doing anything that would hurt the Penguin. And now he's like, oh no, like I backstabbed him and now he's out. So instead of like running away, which was an option for him, he decided to stay, and he's getting in way over his head trying to clean up the mess he made for both the crime families. He so in this episode he was able to get the remaining bliss drug that he stole from Sophia,
mm,
that Maroney stole from Sophia and he got back. And he found this underground old railway station that him and his little teen pal Victor have now rebranded to their drug haven. So they're using it as a place to make more bliss and sell to the gangsters of New York, Gotham. I always call it
mm.
New York, but I know it's Gotham. Um, what's happening though is to get back at Oz, Sophia's killing off all the drug dealers.
Ooh,
And in order for him to be successful and get her back, he's now making the drug free to all the gangs in Gotham. So they feed off the drug. They get addicted to it and want more.
yeah,
So he's trying to figure out how that's going to work and how he can continue with that and not get caught.
right.
He's also dealing with the loss of his love interest, Eve. She pretty much left him. And now his mother, who is super close to him and who he is super close to, had now resents him because she is ill and she's living in a condemned building that he put
Mhm.
her in to hide her. So he is now dealing with that. And then despite his drug empire growing, um, some of the dealers are wanting to be partners. And Victor, his little teenage buddy, that he recruited, is now doing things that he thought he'd never do. So, like he ended up killing one of the drug dealers, but it's crazy for me to see him do that. This kid lost his parents in the Gotham flood, and it shows flashbacks because you don't know where he came from. All he was doing was he was recruited by him to pretty much steal a car
Right.
and then hide Alberto's body. And then he started working for him. But now we know that his parents died, and I don't know if this is going to be a turn of event for him because he was very scared and stayed with Oz because he was scared to know what Oz would do with him if he left because
Right.
now he knows all the secrets. So now that he's crossed kind of that barrier, it'll be interesting to see what happens to him and how that shapes his future in the organization with Oz. So yeah, now Sophia found out that Oz has a girlfriend or had a girlfriend, so she's going to use that as a ploy to get Oz back. And she finds out his mother's really ill.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of things going for her to get back at him, and I don't know how he's going to recover from that
Yeah.
and try to talk his way out of it. One thing about Colin Farrell in this episode, number one, you can't tell it's him. Number two, his accent is so different. Sometimes you hear a hint of him, but you don't. But the amount of talking he does to get out of situations or how he thinks on the fly to avoid getting caught is ridiculous.
Yeah. The writing
Like,
is good,
it's
right?
just crazy, like
Yeah.
how he learned so much as the driver
Hmm.
of this organization to do what he does now. But then he's also dealing with the fact that he's got a lot of emotion and rage
Mm.
because some of the killings he's done is because people have made fun of him.
Right.
You're just a loser, a driver, you can't even walk, you walk funny, and then he just explodes, and he knows he's done something that he shouldn't have done, but now he's like, oh crap, I did it. So how am I going to fix it so I don't get caught? So yeah, it's really interesting. I would love to hear what the viewers think is going to happen. Like, is Sophia gonna, I know at the end, Sophia found Eve. Is she gonna use him,
Mm.
or use her against Oz? Is she gonna
Yeah.
kill her? Like Oz killed her brother? I don't know. Like, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. And do the fans think that Oz is gonna run out of alliances? He's trying to create all these alliances to get out of problems, but are they gonna turn his back on him?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and it's so hard because he's like this crime guy and he does bad things, but I feel sorry for him at times because he's this broken, tortured man that, you know, now he's doing all these things because he wants to get to the top, but his entire way to get there was being laughed at and everything. So I don't know.
Well,
It's a fine line of how you love him and hate him.
it's that
Because
concept of the anti-hero, right? Like,
Right,
think
right,
of
because that's what
I
they're making him now. Because in Batman, he's a villain, right? So you hate him in Batman, but in this series, you tend to have some sympathy towards him too. So
but that's
yeah,
what
it's
they
really
do in
interesting.
You. If you watch You
Yeah,
on Netflix, uh, he is horrible, and yet people empathize and sympathize with him, and it's that thing. Like that is it's in I don't know how they do it, writers. That's just such great writing, but yeah, that's
it's
what
definitely the actor too, though.
yeah, for
They,
sure. Yeah.
they definitely have to play that part really well, and I
Yeah.
think that I mean, Colin Farrell's always been one of my favorite actors. He's been in some pretty good movies and he's done some really great parts. I thought it was like, ooh, I don't know how he's going to do in an actual show, but it feels like I'm watching a movie.
He's
Like, he
actually
has been so
also
good.
he's actually just been in Sugar on he was John Sugar, which is I think a police detective in on Apple TV. It just aired, I believe, just in the spring. So another good one that he's in. So I believe
Oh,
it's
well, I'll have to
renewed.
check that
So
out.
yeah. So
But
yeah, that sounds awesome. There's only 2 episodes left before the
yep.
season ends. So lots still that could happen. And
They need to have another season or they're going to have
uh,
to unpack a lot in 2 episodes and they better not leave no one hanging.
well, it's been getting lots of good reviews, lots of good ratings. So hopefully HBO picks it up for second season. But they tend to give shows the run they deserve. So I don't think you should be too worried about it.
And for people like you that think you have to know Batman in order to, or the story of Batman in order to watch this, you don't. It's a side story from Batman. It's
Right.
great if you know the background, but if you don't, you can still watch it and actually love it.
Yeah. And that's good. That is good to know because some people are probably like, oh, I've never watched Batman, so I'm not going to know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Well, lots of yeah, that's a good Sunday night show to get into. I know there's only 2 episodes left, but it'll be available to binge, so get caught up and hopefully there'll be a second season. But we're going to move
Awesome.
into our next poll leader, which was The Diplomat. It returned for season 2 on Halloween on Netflix, and people are hooked. And see, for me, The Diplomat is tough. I'm Canadian. It's all about American politics, which for me is A, hard to understand, and B, hard for me to really get hooked into. So I struggled a little bit with The Diplomat, but season 2 picks up right after the season 1 cliffhanger where 4 people were standing next to a car and exploded in London street. So Carrie Russell's character, Kate, is the ambassador to London for the United States. And after an attack on a British air carrier, she was sent there. So Kate, her ridiculous husband, Hal, who was a former ambassador, but he's got such a bad reputation, he's not allowed near things anymore. And the UK Foreign Minister Austin tried to uncover who's responsible for what happened. And all things are starting to point to an inside job involving the UK Prime Minister.
Wow.
So this season started with Hal, Kate's deputy, Stuart, and then another person had to have emergency surgery because of what happened in that attack. And meanwhile, Kate, of course, is still trying to unravel what's happening here with this conspiracy with her CIA chief. And last season, they hinted a lot about the vice president and how she was on her way out. And they were actually putting Kate's name in to replace her, which I think a part of Kate loved that idea, but the other part of her didn't because her and her husband are supposed to get divorced. Like she's done with him. All he
Mm.
does is ruin her life essentially. But if she becomes the vice president, she can't get a divorce. She has to be married. So yeah, there's lots of drama around that. So this season, Allison Janney showed up to guest star, and she is the vice president. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
actually, she's awesome. Everything she does, she's awesome. Only showed up mid-season 2. She shook things up. I don't want to ruin it in case people haven't seen it, but you know, she's brilliant. Her and Kate are kind of pitted against each other, but they also sort of have a mutual respect. And if you know Kate's character, she's kind of, really sort of negative and has that dry humor, but the two of them together are really awesome. And everything that people loved about season 1 is probably better this season. So, Carrie Russell, she's still dynamic. Her husband is still as annoying as ever. Ali Ann, who plays Idra, is absolutely standout this season. And as much as I hate political dramas, I do find this one hard not to like because of the acting. Like it's just so good. Their storyline is so good. It's hard to turn away. And then, of course, the season ended on a huge cliffhanger, which again, I'm not going to tell you what happened. So hopefully a season 3 renewal comes. It is Netflix, so who knows? But the only negative thing that I found with this was it was only 6 episodes this season. Last season was 8. I felt like things were just so rushed. Like they
Hmm.
had to really move fast in every single episode. And for that, I almost feel like I have to go back and rewatch the second season to
Are
really
they longer episodes or are they like still like
the
the 45
same
minute?
length, the
Wow.
same
I wonder
length.
what caused
Yeah.
them to do that.
There was a reason given. I can't recall what it was, but um it was really it moved really fast. And so to feel like I really understood everything, I would need to go back and rewatch it. That's probably my only criticism of it. But as somebody who typically likes the kind of true crime, I do like dramas for sure. This political drama is just not my thing. But like I said, this one's hard not to like, so I get why people are really enjoying it. So that's
Did
the
you watch Scandal?
I did not. No, I did
Oh,
not. Good?
yeah, I don't like politics either. Like, I'm not interested. No
Yeah.
offense to anybody. It's just not for me. Oh my God, that show. I think I don't even remember how many seasons, but it is so good. Like,
Yeah.
I was so into it. I binged it during, I think, COVID, but
Yeah.
so good. So maybe I would like something like this. I
You
don't know,
might,
but
you might. It's
yeah,
not, and that's the thing, it's not hard to catch up on, right? Because season one
yeah,
was only 8 episodes, season two is
Oh,
only
that's not bad.
like,
easy
yeah.
to binge, get caught up, and you could even do it. Hopefully, like I said, there'll be a season three and
Hmm.
get caught up before that starts. But another really popular show right now, probably the most popular show on television, is High Potential on ABC. By its third week, it pulled in 6.1 million
That's
viewers
wild.
live. These are people who
Wild.
sat in front of their TV and watched it live.
Is this one of like the highest like
Yeah.
viewers in a while for a
Yeah.
live episode?
Yes.
Wow.
And across all the platforms, so even on the streamer, which is Hulu, they're getting 9 million viewers and counting.
Wow.
But I wonder if
Ah,
it's kind of like though for people that have watched Aaron Brockovich, it's kind
oh,
of
okay.
very similar to it. Not obviously the same story, but you got this girl that has no criminal background or
Yeah.
anything, is just, a cleaner. And same with Aaron Brockovich, who was a single mom, working like a stay-at-home mom or working these odd jobs, and gets in there and actually gets the work done. So I
Yeah.
wonder if that kind of storyline captured people into watching the show, and then now they've gotten hooked.
See, it's funny because like she herself, Caitlin Olsen, is really people like there's something about her that draws people in. For me, I don't watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but my husband does, and I di really dislike her on that show. Like she
Oh,
just
I love her on
grates on
Always
my
Sunny.
nerves. So I didn't even want to give this one a chance.
Hmm.
But honestly, she's actually she's really good in it. She is.
It's
So
hard. I see it's hard if you haven't seen her in different types of shows because she's
yeah,
been on Always Sunny for so long.
that's right.
But I don't know. I've liked her in that. It really showcases her comedic side.
Yeah,
But I know this one's a little bit of a comedy too, but also gets her out of that shell to doing something different. Um, I haven't I haven't watched it yet, but this is definitely on my list of
yeah,
things to watch because I loved Erin Brockovich, that kind of story, and I love Caitlin Olsen. So
yeah,
I'm hoping that once I watch it, I'll be hooked as well.
I think this
yeah,
goes to when we were talking about Outer Banks. Like the
yeah,
characters had been on that show for so long and they probably want to do other things, but sometimes characters get in these shows for forever and that's all you can see them in, right? So if you
that's
Yeah,
didn't
right.
like them in
Typecast.
that show, you
Yeah,
don't want to see them in another show because you
yeah,
probably won't like them then, right? But sometimes they may surprise you. So that's interesting to know that, you don't really like her on that show, but here she's okay.
yeah, she
yeah.
is. And I think the other thing that I think people like about it is because it's serious when it needs to be, but it's also fun and lighthearted. And
Mhm.
it's a different type of police procedural, right? And I think that's what people like about it is that, yeah, a lot of people too were like, when they first heard it was coming, oh God, not another police procedural, because there's so
Hmm.
many, but
Yeah.
this one is different. And I feel like it looks like this could be around for a while. So a show to definitely get into if you haven't yet already. So,
And I think
uh,
the amount of viewers even just proves how great of a
oh
show it
my
is
Yeah.
because
goodness. Yes.
nobody's getting things like that nowadays. So
No, that's
crazy.
unheard of
I'm
ratings.
shocked.
Yeah, unheard of,
Well, it
especially
is. I
live.
mean, right now it's just crazy. Like people just want to be able to turn on the TV and see something light and funny.
That's it.
Because there's so much going on, elections over here and whatever.
Right.
So it's nice to just turn on the TV and see something that's like that. I feel like the same thing's going to happen with that new show, St. Denis Medical. There's
Okay, so I got to
so
see it already.
Yeah, there's
The
so
first two
many medical
episodes.
shows out there that are so serious right now. And this one's a total comedic spoof. And let me tell you, as nurses, my husband and I have seen commercials, and some of the things that those patients ask for are legit real.
I know.
Like it makes you really think, oh my God, So it's actually it's going to be super funny, I think,
It is.
because
I think people
people
are
don't
gonna
see
enjoy it.
that side of nursing or that side of healthcare. So I think it's going to be funny.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on to another new show that's been a hit for its network, which is NCIS Origins on CBS. Jessica, what did you think this week?
Oh, so I had to catch up on last week because I
Yes.
missed it being away, but I did
Right.
watch both. And okay, I do love the show, like truly love it, but I do find that sometimes I feel like I'm missing information, and I don't know if it's because I had never watched the previous NCISs before.
Right.
But so sometimes I find myself a little bit confused on what's going on. But I feel like this episode did give some clarity to some things. So
Right.
this is another thing. Like just because you didn't watch Batman, like you could still
Yeah.
watch that show. Same with this one.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm confused, but usually they will come back and explain kind of what's been going on. But I was a little worried because this was a missing girl case.
Oh, yeah.
And, poor Gibbs lost his wife and his daughter. And
Mhm.
so I was worried about him working on this case, especially because last episode, they kind of put him on desk duty for a while.
Mhm.
And so I thought, oh, maybe they should have kept him on desk duty again. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think this may have healed a part of him.
That's
So,
Good.
good.
yep, like I said, missing girl case. And then we end up finding out kind of like what exactly happened when he found out about his wife and daughter. So I guess he was in the Marines. They used to send him letters all the time, either explaining what was going on or just to tell him that they loved him. And then he doesn't get the letter and instead has to have a sit down conversation, and is told that his wife and daughter are gone, and then
Oh,
he puts himself in the risky position where he could have potentially died, but he didn't. And then that was kind of the end of the Marines for him.
yeah.
Um, he ends up coming back, but it was interesting to see how he found out,
That's right.
because it was just kind of like before, kind of glazed over in the first couple episodes because it was just like, yes, his wife and daughter are dead and they don't know where the person is, but like, how did they die? Where were
Yeah.
you when you
Yeah.
found out? So now we kind of got a little bit more of that backstory. So that was very interesting.
Yeah.
And then so back to the missing girl case. The girl ends up, I think they were going after somebody else, but this girl kind of got tangled in it. Um, and one of the neighbors was like, "Yeah, I saw her drive away in a car," and they believed him, and they were kind of running with what he was saying, and really he just wanted attention. But it ended up helping because they did find out what really happened, and they ended up finding the little girl that was missing, but
Good.
she didn't want to talk at all. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so again, I'm obsessed with, I think it's Lala. I'm obsessed with her, and I know she has a man, but I really want her and Gibbs to get
Uh,
together
well,
so
the
badly.
show just started. Lots can happen.
So I'm excited to
That's
see what
true.
happens with that. But her and Gibbs, I think, are my two. Oh, I can't pick favorites. I love them all, but I like them together, and I like how they work with, um, kind of the people that these things have happened to. And so Lala was able to get the little girl to speak a little bit, and
Wow.
Gibbs also was able to like comfort her, and there was this Whitney Houston song that she loved, and he was able to sing it to her, and
Oh
it was
my
also
God.
just like, yeah, it showed his soft side and that he is a girl dad, and so that was nice to see as well. And he ends up getting her back to safety, and then another thing happens when he goes there to bring one of her toys, and um, it was a good thing that he went, but he gets very emotional.
Oh,
He's
for sure.
crying, kind of, like
Mhm.
it's just a moment for him, right? He doesn't have his daughter
Yeah.
anymore. This woman's daughter, who I believe her husband was in the Marines, like
Right.
it was just too much of the same that it was
Yeah.
triggering for him, right? And that's why I was so worried. But it ended up turning out really great. He was there at the perfect time, was
That's amazing.
able to help them and make sure that they were both safe. And yeah, he's just so good. Like his character is like so mysterious, and I just want more, and he makes me want to keep watching because I'm like, there's more to you, there's more to you.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah.
especially the way this episode ends, he
Yeah.
finally took Frank's offer to have dinner with him and his, I don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend, but ended up going there and having dinner with them. And I think that that's the start of him kind of coming out of his shell and maybe opening up a little bit more and not being so like closed off. And I think he'll always be a little mysterious, but I think he'll be more open and willing to get together with some of the people and have those harder conversations. Whereas normally in the first few episodes, he's just very quiet, right? Like he does a lot of thinking internally and doesn't say it out loud unless his he's pushed to, right? So I loved how that ended, and I'm excited to see where that portion takes us and what kind of a character we're going to see him grow to from this.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. Definitely going to keep
awesome.
watching. It's got me hooked. But yeah, like I said, you might be a little confused if you've never watched anything before, but eventually everything starts to come out. So
Absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear. It's definitely, like I said, it's definitely doing really well on CBS. So I'm assuming it'll be around for at least another season more.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move into the world of reality television now. Love is Blind had its reunion
Yes.
last week.
I got my names here because, like I said, I am terrible with names, guys. So please forgive me. But we'll start off with my favorite boring couple. They're
Yes.
still together.
They're still together.
know.
Wow.
I love
Okay.
them,
Yeah.
Taylor and Garrett. They are
Yes.
still together. Their families are so beautiful. I truly just love them. I think that they were in it for the right reasons, and it ended up turning out great. I know some people don't really like Garrett, but I mean, it is what it is. They did say that moving didn't work out, and so they are moving back to DC. That was the
Oh,
one
wow.
I was saying, him
That's
moving to be with their
right. Yeah,
family.
Yeah.
So they are moving.
She's
Oh,
going to
wow.
move with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
So
Okay. That's a huge move.
yeah, so
Mhm.
that's great. So, but yeah, they seem to be doing really well. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if we heard talks of potentially starting a family soon.
Wow.
I think they are
That's
really,
awesome.
really happy, and I think they're in a really great place. So that was really exciting for me. Okay, who's our next? Ashley and Tyler.
Yes.
They're still together. I mean, we're hearing both sides now. Whereas before, he was very, very quiet. Tyler, he wasn't wanting to speak on it. He kept saying he couldn't speak on it till the reunion. We got the reunion, and I still feel like he didn't really give us answers.
Oh,
He basically
gee.
just said, "Yes, those are my friends' kids that I gave sperm to, and
I
yes,
still can't believe she
spend
was fine
time."
with that.
Yeah, and she said that she knew during filming about all of this, and then they decided to have that conversation on TV
Yeah.
and word it the way that they did.
Oh,
So
wow.
if the other story is right and they're not really sperm babies, that is very sad for those kids to have to see in the
No.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And
turn
think
on the
like,
TV and hear that they were
yeah,
pretty much unloved.
like honestly, you should have just not talked about it. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
No.
Like,
Don't make it part of the storyline.
yeah,
That should have been a private conversation.
yes. And so I'm sad that they're still together, but maybe there's something there. I wish them all the best, but I'm not sure how long they will last. If they do last, I don't know. They give me the ick. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
not really into it. And then we have Marissa and Ramsey.
Mm,
And they,
they're done.
they're done. Yeah, they didn't even make it to the altar,
Right.
so we
That's
knew
right.
they were done. But sounds like they maybe hooked up a little bit after the show, and still spoke a bit, which is understanding. Like, yeah, they're not getting married, but just because you don't get married doesn't mean that you can't continue a relationship, right? Like the
Right.
show
Right.
is to get married, and so you don't want to get married, you don't get married, but you can continue a relationship after the show. But they are not. She is in a relationship with somebody else. She has
Oh,
not said
wow.
who. But I was surprised she didn't go after him more at the reunion. And he is saying
Okay.
about his not wanting to wear a condom. He said that the conversation was a lot bigger than they showed on TV, and they did talk about other forms of birth control that they
Okay.
could use. But obviously TV picks and chooses what they show,
Of
and so
course.
they only showed the bad part. So I
Yeah.
totally get
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
But I thought she was going to come at him a little bit more, and she did not. She was like, if anything, she went after Nick and was like, fighting Nick more than Hannah was fighting Nick. So that was
That's
a little
weird.
weird.
That is weird.
But yeah, so they're not together. I don't think Ramsey said if he was with anybody, but again, not surprised, and
Yeah.
also not surprised that they hooked up a little bit. And then who do we got? Brittany and Leo. We got to see Brittany and Leo finally, and they were able to tell us why they didn't get chosen.
Yeah.
Basically, they just were not it. Like, they knew that there probably was no potential between them,
Okay.
and so they just
Oh, wow.
decided to go elsewhere, which is surprising because for a show like that, you think you would want to put them on because they were like those
Yeah.
characters that, yeah, they
Or
are
get them to
reality
milk it
TV,
at least.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she is seeing someone, he is not, but they are really good friends, so that was good to hear, that at least a friendship came out of it
That's right.
between them for
Yeah.
both of them. Yeah, they both looked great, and yeah, I think that they'll be fine. Like, I'm not too worried. He's got money, he's got his job, like, he's
Yeah.
Set up
the
for
lady
life.
that he wants that is gonna love him. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
no surprise there. Oh, Monica and Stephen. So Monica, again, I thought a little bit more bickering was going to go on, but I think that they've healed a lot of what had happened with his text with another person
Right.
beforehand. So again, not too much drama was brought on here. He wouldn't even really tell us what happened. He just
Oh.
kind of said, like, it's not for him to bring the other person into this, and like, the viewers kind of already have their mind made up on him as well as Monica. So for him, it's like, why keep going?
Yeah.
Like, you don't like me, you don't like me. Like, there's nothing I could say kind of to make you guys like me. And I totally understand that,
Yeah.
because what he did was wrong. And whether he tells us exactly what happened or not, you're still not going to like him.
It's not
So
gonna matter. And
yeah,
for all we know, it could make people think worse of him.
for
Yeah,
sure.
true.
And I guess it was just like a friend messaged him about a fetish that she was into, and he kind of played into it, which led him to start doing the fetish thing. So take
What
that
the
as you will.
heck? Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
that as you will. It
Nothing
was
can
a
make
fetish
it better.
conversation. Yeah. And then who do we got? Ramses.
No.
He's single. So
Yeah.
again, not much from him. And then Tim. Tim is single. And is Tim with what's her name?
I don't remember. Alex? No, that's not right.
Oh, I can't remember. She
It's
was the
okay.
sleepy girl. Anyways, they hashed everything out, and or
It's
they
Alex.
were
It's
going
Alex,
at each other,
I think.
and it was no good.
Okay.
So the hosts, Nick and his wife,
Yeah.
were just kind of like, well, I think you guys need to work on this after. It's not that you're not gonna fix it here.
Well,
No.
yeah, no.
Yeah, like they were just going at each other still. So they have
Jeez.
lots of drama, and if they want some sort of friendship or not after this, they're gonna have to work it out. And if
Big
not, just
time.
part ways, and just like, it is what it is.
Yeah,
right.
just
They were
end
just
it.
fighting. And then Nick and Hannah. And so Nick and Hannah, they again, she kind of let him talk and say what he wanted to say, and just kind of sat there and never really said anything back. She did say that she had found a list that he had made, and on one of the points was that he wanted to be the most famous person on Love is Blind. And he's like, yeah, well, that's something that I made weeks before the show. I didn't even know I was going to be on the show. So, but I mean, honestly, at this point of how many seasons they've had, who is not going on the show to be famous?
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel like that was a huge deal. But
Yeah.
yeah, she took accountability for how mean she was, but kind of said that he deserved it and that she just needs to work on how she says it. So I don't know. I mean,
Didn't gain any fans. Let's just put it that way.
no, that's for sure. And now she's hanging out with Leo again. So
Oh, geez. Okay. Well,
we'll see what happens on the outside world with them. But
yeah.
it was a good
Lord.
reading. I feel like we got some answers for some things, even if they weren't the answers we wanted. But
Yeah. And season 8 actually premieres in a couple months on
February.
Valentine's Day.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
quick already.
Yeah.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, that is awesome for us. For me anyway, it's like
Yes.
the closest big US city to us, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Very similar to how we are up here. So yeah, that'll be
I
neat.
love Minneapolis.
Yeah. So a notable mention this week was Superman and Lois. I tuned in. It was actually a really impactful episode. So this episode took a real deep dive into Lex Luthor's life and his really twisted family dynamics.
Oh God, yeah.
Some flashbacks revealed how tough his upbringing was and his fractured relationship with his daughter Elizabeth. And his vendetta against, of course, Superman was revived, for those of you who haven't caught up. But Lex's vendetta against him and Lois is fierce as ever. And of course, Clark tries his usual peacekeeping, but this is not going to work with Lex. And so Clark actually had a heart transplant from Sam Lane, which is how he was able to survive. And you get to see him very vulnerable, which is actually a very tough shift for him. And there's some side drama with Jonathan and Candace that actually added a little bit of a light touch to this really heavily dramatic episode. And so the real impact is Lex's ruthless approach to revenge on Clark and Superman. And there's only a couple episodes left this season, so things are about to get really heated. It's going to be sad to see this show go. So many people love it, and I do feel like there's still lots of story to be told. But that's the TV landscape we live in nowadays, right? So,
Yeah.
lots of good episodes still left to watch, but that's a wrap for us over here. What are you guys most excited about next week in TV? There's lots of season finales next week, but I'm looking forward to the next episode of Tracker. It's been so amazing so far. It's the show that's getting me excited every week, so that's what I'm pumped for. What about you guys?
I'm really excited about Tulsa King tomorrow.
Mm,
I don't know what's going on this season, but every episode is a cliffhanger more so than the last. It's so much better season than last year.
yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna be because the way they ended last season, but yeah, I mean, it's awesome.
Right. What about you, Jess?
Grey's Anatomy with Sophia Bush,
Ah,
so that's going to be
Oh
my
yes.
my show this week. But I
nice.
will continue watching my others. But that's
Of
what
course.
I'm probably most excited about. I'm excited to see what kind of character she plays.
She's back. It'll be good to
Hmm.
see what happens. We'll have to
Yes,
talk about that one next week for sure.
yes.
But next week, don't forget, is our live interactive episode. We're excited to connect with our listeners and we
Yeah.
hope you'll join us in sharing your thoughts. So it will be updated or with all of the information will be on our socials, on X at Spoiler TV Pod, on IG at the Spoiler TV Podcast. You can look for that info in the show notes. But you can listen to this episode anywhere you get your podcasts. You can watch it on YouTube at Spoiler TV. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. We very much appreciate your support, and we look forward to being live with you next week. It'll be so much fun.
Yay. Can't wait.
Can't
Yeah,
wait.
thanks for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate your support. That's all for us today.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.